What's up, everybody? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be checking out the ISOPOP Broadcast by isovox. Now, isovox is a company that specializes in creating products that allow you to have higher quality professional level takes in a home studio. They do a lot more than that, but this is kind of the main thing that I think they're known for and that I was interested in when looking at their products. So I recently did a review of their isovox vocal booth. It's isovox 2 specifically. And I wanted to know how well the isovox 2 dampened metal vocals for people who need to practice or record at home. Today, I'm going to be seeing how well the ISOPOP Broadcast does at handling those pesky, annoying plosive sounds and sibilant noises. Quick disclaimer, the company did send this to me for free, but when I had a call with them, they were very adamant. Please do not fake anything. Do not force any results. Be as honest as you can with this review. They essentially told me they believe in their product so much they're not worried about me having to fudge the numbers, so to speak. So that's why I agreed to do this for them, because sometimes when you're offered promotions, you kind of feel like they're wanting you to be dishonest in exchange for products or pay. I don't really like that feeling. So this I felt very comfortable with. Now, I want to talk really quick about the test that we're going to be doing today. I'm going to try to keep it brief. I'd like this video ideally to be no longer than 10 minutes because I want to be respectful of your time. But what we're going to do is we're going to be trying a couple different things. We're going to try, I'm going to be doing this on the Shure SM7B because this is one of the main microphones it's built to work with and do better than the baseline pop filter that's sort of built onto it. So I'm going to be doing it without the stock filter. I'm going to be doing it with the stock filter, and then I'm going to be doing it with the two filters that come with the isovox or the ISOPOP Broadcast when you get it, and they are their neutral filter. Oh, focus! It's not going to focus so well. They are the neutral filter, and they are the de-esser. That's how they have them on the website anyway. I'm also going to be doing this with my normal speaking voice and extreme metal vocals, because extreme metal vocals is what I do and what I teach for a living. That's my full-time job. It's how I pay the bills, and plosives and sibilants can be very, very, very tricky and annoying, especially when we're doing harsh vocals, which have a lot of very, very abrupt or can have very abrupt changes in airflow dynamics. So it can be a real pain in the butt to deal with plosives, those sounds where we hold back air and then let it burst out. It can be very difficult. So I want to put it to the test in that respect for my metal vocalist audience as well. Now, to make sure this test is going to actually work, I want to make sure that I'm going to use the ISOPOP Broadcast correctly. So the first thing I want to talk about is that when you are putting your filter in the ISOPOP Broadcast, you want to make sure it's flat, right? If you buy a tool and you don't use it properly, that's on you. And I want to make sure I give you good results. So I want my filter to be in here and I want it to be flat. I also want to make sure that when I put it on the microphone, I'll try to make it so you can see it when I actually do the test with the ISOPOP Broadcast. I want to make sure that there's a little space between the tip of the actual microphone here and the filter. I want there to be some space. Otherwise, again, it's not going to work correctly. So you'll be able to see that when I do this, when I do these tests. And I think that's pretty much all there is to say. I'm excited to see how this is going to work. I don't know. This is my using of it right now is the first time I've used it. So let's just hop into it. Here we go. No filter. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
With the filter, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
ISOPOP Broadcast with the neutral filter. Little bit of space, flat filter, very important. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Now the de-essing filter. Pretty easy to put in. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
All right, so those are the comparisons. Let's take a look at those waveforms. Okay, so let's take a peek at these waveforms. Also, just in case you don't notice, the rest of the audio in this video is going to be done with the ISOPOP Broadcast with the DS filter. And the reason I'm using the DS filter versus the neutral is because it looks the most like this one, so it's what I'm the most used to. So I've gone ahead and I have named each track here, essentially the test that I did on it. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about these tracks here. So these tracks that we're going to be listening to, that we're going to be checking out, they are essentially raw as I could possibly make it. Now, if anybody in here has used Reaper before, you can tell from these little red lines that I have boosted the audio a little bit because I tend to record fairly quiet because my room is not, like this office is not super nicely sound treated, which is why the isovox 2 was a nice addition. But I had to boost it a little bit for you to be able to hear it. But these have no EQ. There's no compressor, obviously. I haven't normalized the clips. Maybe I should have, but if you want a good comparison of what they sound like with a little bit of treatment, that's the first part of this video. These are the only like absolute raw takes you're going to hear. And then the treatment that you hear on the tests previous, just before this section of the video, it's just a little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ to try to lower some of that room verb. And that's about it. That's really all I put on my voice for these videos. But what I want to do is I want to compare these. I'm actually going to shut up real quick. And I just want to solo these and have them compared for you. There's a chance when I do the final edit, I may have to boost them a little bit more for you to hear, but I'm going to do it as little as possible, right? Also, boosting it helps you see the waveforms a little bit better, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to shush, and here we go. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Now let's do the harsh vocals.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces. Parsley pasta, pasty pieces.
Okay, so this was actually fairly interesting. Like I said, other than just doing a quick check to make sure it was going to be actually audible to all of you, and then boosting the volume a little bit, I didn't really compare them until just now, just then when you watched me do it. And there are a couple interesting things that I noticed. No filter, as no surprise, sounded terrible. Especially on those high screams. Okay. Like, if you record those types of tracks and send them to someone, don't. Don't. Those plosives were disgusting. The sibilants were nasty. It would have been a pain in the butt for you or your engineer to correct those, to make them usable takes. And it honestly would be better to do them again. The main difference that I noticed between the ISOPOP Broadcast and the stock filter is that the ISOPOP Broadcast had a brighter sound. I felt like I was hearing more high-end frequencies, and that makes a lot of sense too. Now, while I am somebody who has over 15 years of vocal experience and has done tons of recording, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a gearhead, right? However, I do know the type of sound that I like, and I do know the type of sound that I'm looking for. And I will say one thing that I have sometimes been frustrated with when it comes to using the Shure SM7B is that this creates sometimes a little bit darker, or should I say warmer of a sound. The stock filter creates a little bit warmer of a sound than I want when I want my highs to sound like really crispy, right? Now, of course, there are things you can do in production in the editing phase to make that to make that happen, to get those crispy sounds. But I did notice that taking this off and using the ISOPOP broadcast really actually created a high scream sound that I kind of like better. I didn't notice much of a difference on the plosive side of things between the neutral and the de-esser. However, I will say that on the de-esser, the sibilance were something that I was not I didn't have a problem with, right? The S's and the Z's can be a big pain in the butt, especially when recording harsh vocals, because they can be very aggressive. But for me, I really liked the results that I got from that, right? So, with that being said, I do think that there's a noticeable difference. I'm going to be transparent with you all. I did not anticipate that this was going to make much of a difference. I was a little I won't say hesitant to make this video, but I was like, oh man, they want me to do a video, and I'm not sure there's going to be much for me to talk about as far as a difference. But I do think that there was a very clear difference in the quality of sound. Now, based on what I just did, which one would I think works better? I think better is kind of a tricky phrase here because it depends on the sound that you're going for. If I was to track harsh vocals, if I was to track extreme metal vocals, utilizing SM7B and not my Rode NT1, which sometimes I do switch them out. I think I would prefer, to be honest with you, I think I would prefer the ISOPOP broadcast, interestingly, over the stock filter. I would never, I would not go no filter. I don't know why anybody would. Another thing I'm just kind of looking at and noticing, and this is something they do bring up on their website, is a lot of time what I'll do is I'll have like the attachable windscreen, you screw it to the mic stand, and then you have this big circle here. And that can be kind of a pain in the butt, number one, because it's hard. I'm a vocalist who I have to have my lyrics up in front of me. You want me to memorize my own lyrics? Are you crazy? Who has that kind of time? And secondly, if you are creating like visual vocal content, like YouTube videos or video versions of your podcast, these windscreens can make it kind of hard because you're like peeking around them and you can't get your voice directly into the mic. So I do think I like this option in lieu of the big round like filter windscreen that we've all seen. So that being said, I think this is a cool product. Is it a must-have? Hard to say on that because it depends on the sound that you're wanting to go for. But if you want something that has a little adds a little less warmth to the tone, if you want something that's really like not visually intrusive, I think this thing actually looks pretty cool. I know that for a lot of people, they get the SM7B because it's fairly iconic looking. But I like this thing. I like the sort of like form follows function design of it. I think it looks really cool. I do think that this is something I'm going to use fairly frequently for recording harsh vocals. And if I'm going to do a reaction video that has a lot of high screams in it, I'm probably going to pop out this guy for this guy. The only other thing I want to mention, I don't really think that this is like a big deal. This thing is a little tricky to put on, not too bad. You have to kind of fiddle with it. And since it's secured by these bands, it can be a situation where you want to double check the angle that it's at, but that's really just as easy as a simple adjustment. And we're not really handling our mics a lot anyway when we're recording. So sorry, last thing I want to talk about, which is the price point on this thing. So on the isovox website, this is listed at $99 US. So I wouldn't necessarily call it cheap, but in the context of audio equipment, it's actually not that bad, because if any of you are building your own home studio or have a professional studio, you know that this is not an inexpensive hobby or line of work, right? Now, is that price point worth it? For me personally, somebody who records a lot of harsh vocals, I would say yes. And the reason for that is my main platform on this channel is doing reaction videos. And I have found myself sometimes frustrated because I am trying to explain or describe how high screams sound. The high screams are the extreme vocal that I did in this video. And I want it to sound crispier and crunchier, but I don't necessarily want to put a lot of work into like adding like harmonic exciters and like spending a bunch of time in my EQ. I want to be able to just, put on my preset and go. And sometimes I feel like this has created a not as good representation of how those high crispy sounds can be. So for me personally, and if you're somebody who wants a slightly brighter tone, yes, I would say $99. as an eventual purchase, maybe not an immediate upgrade to your studio, but as an eventual purchase, is not necessarily an unfair price point. If you're somebody who's not really looking to utilize your voice in a super professional way, this is more of a low key hobby for you. It's really up to you. I don't think it would be a waste of money to get this. I don't think anybody out there would buy this and think that they threw their money away. And that's it. That's really all I have for you. This is a cool little device. I think it looks really neat. Like I said, I will probably switch back and forth between the stock filter and the ISOPOP broadcast, depending on the content of the video that I'm creating. And it's cool to have that option. I think that's a really neat thing to have. And it's a fun discussion piece. People will look at it and they'll be like, what's that? And I'll be like, well, I'll tell you. But that being said, hopefully this comparison was helpful to you. Hopefully this review was helpful. Again, this was all as honest as I could possibly make it. And I appreciate the team at isovox for letting me be as honest as I wanted to be, which was 100%, by the way. And that's all I got for you. If you're interested in it, the link is below. It's not an affiliate link. I don't get any kickbacks if you buy one. It's just there, honestly, for ease of convenience and use. And with that said, many thanks, much love. I'm out.